Ken. Hello, Ken.
Hello. We're back and we're live.
It's true.
We decided she could use a break. She's been working hard. Has she been doing a marvelous job today, or what, everyone? Almost as good as me. Anyway, we figured I'd give her a break, help her out. There was a little bit of trouble because people were worried that the audience would say, you know, who's this guy up on stage with Ken Hugel, but we're all adults. We'll get over it.
So, our next guest was born in Dublin. He was in the TV series Band of Brothers, John Adams, and My Life in Film. He received a nomination for the Vertical Hour on Broadway, but he's most known for his role as Moriarty in the BBC drama series. Please welcome Andrew Scott.
Salut.
I see there are already so many people lined up. We're just going to go ahead and ask the questions.
Oh, wow. Hello.
Question, you have an extensive experience in film, television, and recently discovered audiobooks,
Oh, yes.
as well as stage. From all of this, which is the preferable and your most?
My favorite. I think my favorite is the theatre because it incorporates all those things. But yeah, I like to do audiobooks because I think our voices are very expressive, you know. You can have a very intimate or a very explosive conversation with somebody on the telephone and you know exactly what they're doing by the way they use their voice. So yeah, I love radio plays and audiobooks. But theatre is my favorite because you have a direct connection with the audience, and I really like that. And you know, they can't edit around you or anything like that. So yeah, the theatre is my favorite, even though it's pretty tiring. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Hi Andrew.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Nice hat.
Thanks. I wanted to ask you how do you relax after a day at work? How do you get rest?
A drink.
Especially what? Drink, scotch?
I like a bit of gin. It's been. I don't know. How do I relax? Well, it's quite weird when you're doing a play because it's with you all day, even though you're doing it for like 3 hours in the evening. You carry it around with you all day and you're kind of worrying about it all day, and you wake up and you think, oh, I have to do it again. And you get nervous like every day and sort of forget that, you think tonight it's all going to go wrong. So when it's over, you're so relieved, you think, yes, I don't have to do this anymore until tomorrow night. So yeah, usually I hang out with the people who are in the play, unless I'm just doing a one-man play, then I hang out with myself. So, but yeah, I have a few drinks. I don't drink too much because you can't. And then in between jobs, like I haven't done a big proper acting job in 6 months because I did Hamlet last year. We did 6 months of it, and it took a lot of the year. And so I just kind of wanted to take a bit of time out from acting at all. I'm big into drawing and painting and design and architecture, interiors, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I like to do, hang out with my family. I go home to Ireland, where I'm from, and see my family.
Thank you. It's so nice meeting you.
Oh, lovely to meet you too.
Hi Andrew.
Hello, darling.
I really thought your performance as an evil mastermind was amazing. So I had this curiosity as in what was the meanest, baddest, most evil thing you have ever done as a person?
Oh, yes, actually. The meanest thing I've ever done. It's always when you're a kid, isn't it? Because it's when that's when you feel the most guilty. You think, oh my God, I can't believe I've got away with that. But no, actually, what's quite weird, I haven't done anything like really mean. I'm not really a very mean person, although I don't usually believe people when they say they're not mean, because everybody's got a bit of meanness in them. I suppose you're always in relationships, there's always just something about you that's a bit annoying to the other person. But I would never do anything sort of outwardly mean. I don't think anybody does. I think people do things to protect themselves, and they do it because they have to do it. And they say things that they don't mean in order to protect themselves. So I think that's what, even with somebody like Moriarty, you know, to try and understand why he does such vicious things, I have things in my head as to why he's behaving that way. And some of the worst people in the world, I don't, you know, when they call people monsters, people who've committed terrible crimes and stuff, I never really agree with that, because their behavior may be monstrous, but they're not monsters, they're humans. And actually we have to understand that we're all capable of real darkness, because if we don't realize that we're capable of real darkness, we won't realize that we're capable of real lightness and good, and they're the flip side of each other. So any meanness I have came from a good place.
Thank you very much. Hi. So I have a curiosity. If you could have Sherlock crossover with any other universe, like the Doctor Who universe or whatever, which one would you choose and why?
Maybe the Muppets. Because I love the Muppets. The Muppet Show is one of the best things they've ever created, and I think that would be pretty cool to see Beaker and Sherlock solve crimes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
Hello.
I want to ask you if you could play any role from any show, any movie, anything. What would you play?
Well, it always depends. That answer always really depends on what I've just done. What I love about being an actor is I started out when I was a kid, and when you're a kid, you just play all the time, and you go, right, you be a doctor, you be a teacher, you be a monster, whatever. You just go from one thing to another. So I think the thing that I don't want to do is continue just playing the same game over and over and over again. And because Moriarty is such a famous character, and it's what I'm known for a lot, at the moment, I'm more interested in playing characters that are a bit more benign and a bit more like me and a bit more human and less evil. And well, my genius always comes into every performance. I know, less of a genius, quite. Yeah, somebody who's just a bit more like a regular person, because I think there's drama and every single person here has a story that's could be filmed and could be and there's a secret to be revealed in everybody's life, and I find those kind of films really fascinating. So at the moment, actually, what was weird last year, I played Hamlet, as I say, and that's really the best part there is for a man to play sort of my age, because it covers all areas of humanity. So after you finish that, you're a bit like, what am I going to do now? Because everything sort of falls a bit short. But I've got some plans now, but I needed about 6 months to just not do any acting at all, and that's been pretty cool.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
Hi again, Andrew.
Hey there.
I wanted to ask, what's your process when you approach a stage character versus a TV show or a big screen character?
Well, in the theatre, it's all up to you. You have to learn 1,500 lines, 2,000 lines, and you have to imaginatively begin the story and go right through the story right to the end. Whereas when you're filming something, you shoot it most of the time out of sequence. So you're doing maybe 3 lines of dialogue or 5 lines of dialogue a day. So it's quite slow filmmaking. And so on a film set, what the biggest challenge is to make sure, because there's cameras and lights and boom operators, and there's everybody sitting around, and it's not like the atmosphere of in the stage where everybody's listening to a story and your imagination isn't interrupted. So on set, I really try to just block out the contemporary world that I live in, and just really try and live it imaginatively in the place where I am between when they say action and when they say cut. That's quite a difficult thing to do, just to be really present and to see what the other actor is doing. Whereas on the stage in London and Ireland, the rehearsal culture is that you rehearse for about 6 weeks and you go over it and over and over. So you create the world from start to finish. But both things have a similarity in the sense that you have to be present. You can't do you have to do what's happening now rather than what you think might be happening now.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
How long did it take for you to get into more artistic characters?
Not long. Yeah, it was brilliantly written, that character. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's, you know, the great strength of that character for anybody who writes fiction or drama or anything like that. The reason I think that character is so strong is it's got something to do with me, but a lot of it is to do with how little he's used. He doesn't appear very often in the play, and I think that's why he's really scary. Is because we don't know when he's going to appear, and when he does, he doesn't appear for long, so that you don't really know him very well. So I always fought in Sherlock to appear less and to say less and to not do what he's done before. That I think is incredibly important with all villains. I just worked with Anthony Hopkins on King Lear, and I remember watching The Silence of the Lambs when I was younger, and you know, that character doesn't appear. I think he appears for 20 minutes or something in the film, and but his presence is, you can feel it, and the story around it, he's spoken about a lot, like Moriarty is. They speak about him a lot, and that's how you create a really powerful character. So I think it's to trust the script and to and not do anything that people expect. Because I always think with Moriarty that if you play, he's actually having a really good time. Everybody else is pretty miserable, but he's having fun. He's somebody that you would have fun with at a party.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Hi, Andrew, it's Jim.
Hey Jim, how are you?
Good.
It's Jim Moriarty here.
We both know you're a brilliant actor, and imitation is a high form of flattery, so let's get to the question. When you have to create a character from the ground up, and the director knows just about as much as you do, it's a new character, it's a brand new character, what is your actual process of creating him when you have pretty much nothing to go on except the script itself?
I think the clue is always in the script, even if it's a tiny clue. So in the very beginning, like you're wearing today, like very well dressed.
Thank you.
I wore a Westwood suit in the TV series, and actually originally that was a Prada suit, and they changed it for some reason. But that would reveal to me something very basic, which is that he's sharp. He's a sharp dresser. And what does that say then about the way he is at home? What does it say about his hair? Or what does it say about his hygiene? Or what does it say about a lot of stuff? So even if it's not explicitly written in the script, there's always something in the script that will give you a clue. He was very flirtatious, to my mind. he called him darling, he called him Shirley, there was something that was sexually quite ambiguous about him. And I thought that was another clue. So it's taking those little germs and making plants out of them to mix my metaphors there.
And when it comes to the voice?
Yeah, that came as a surprise to me, really. I watched Sherlock and I was like, oh, my voice is so weird. But that is not, I think my voice is quite, my own voice is quite, what's the word?
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, awesome. No, my voice is quite changeable. And he says in the series that he's changeable as well. And I think that's interesting that somebody can speak to disguise themselves in a lot of different ways and to play with. A lot of the most powerful people in the world, I think, are people who can sort of merge themselves into other people and make themselves, like a chameleon, like the other people so that they feel trust with that other person. So that means that you're able to sort of slide into whoever he is, so that he could speak in an American accent, or he could be really friendly, or really innocent, or really dark, or whatever it is that he actually contains multitudes, and I think that's what's dangerous about him. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, I love you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks very much.
And my question would be, do you procrastinate? Is there any time where you had to do something but you procrastinated and now you have to stay up until 3 a.m. or something like that?
That's such a good question. Yeah, I think procrastination is given a bad name, actually, because procrastination is quite a good thing to be sometimes. I think that we live in a world now where it's all about doing stuff. Do it. We always have to be occupied with an activity. I think it's quite dangerous. We always have to be, if we're not doing anything, we have to be, when we're not doing anything, we have to show people that we're not doing anything. We have to take a picture of the fact that we're not doing anything. So when we're on holidays, you take a picture of your relaxation. You take a picture. So there's this, what they call the glorification of busyness, and I find that a bit troubling. So actually to be able to procrastinate is maybe sometimes not very helpful, because sometimes we just need to make decisions, but actually procrastination, thinking over stuff, and taking your time and slowing down a bit, I think is a pretty good thing. In fact, I was just saying, for 6 months I procrastinated in relation to my work I have, because I wanted to, the work that I've been asked to do recently hasn't really been inspiring, and then so I thought I'll wait, and it's quite difficult, particularly as an actor. The hardest thing they say about being an actor is not working, because your instinct is to act and to be creative. But actually, I find it really beneficial to just go to be with yourself, and I think that sometimes is the hardest thing, to be with yourself and to have space, because you've nothing to grasp onto. But I found it really beneficial. That was quite a procrastinating answer.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I was wondering, during your very brief encounter with Earl's Holmes,
Yes.
In the last episode, we didn't really get to see much of it. So I was wondering if she actually managed to get into Moriarty's head, or if it was the other way around.
It's the other way around.
Hello. I have 2 questions, but I'm gonna ask you only one.
Good to know.
I'm gonna ask you about if you have seen the Hollywood show Sherlock's Parody.
No, I've never heard of it.
No?
No, what's that?
And Chris Rankin played Minecraft.
No,
You
I
haven't seen
no, I haven't
it.
seen that.
You have to see it, I guess, and congratulate the Minecraft of that parody.
Oh, okay, right, I'm sure. But what is it, like a spoof of Sherlock?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a Hilly Hindi and Hannah Hindi. They're sisters, and they made parodies of Sherlock, Supernatural, Walking Dead, and
Oh, I see.
others. So, okay.
I'll check it out.
Okay, that was my question.
Well, you can ask the second one then.
It's more serious.
Okay.
It's about Hamlet.
Okay.
You mentioned Hamlet, and I'm not sure that everyone in this room has knowledge about it. And I'm gonna suggest everyone to see at least the opening scene that's on YouTube, because that was pretty mind-blowing, and you are an incredible actor. I'm sure you're tired of hearing that, but you are. You are.
Thank you very much.
I was wondering, how was those 4 hours of playing Hamlet tiring or challenging, or
Yeah. It was extraordinary. I feel really privileged to have played it, and I'm sort of a little bit more removed from it now than I was, because, as I say, we did it 150 times, and it took 4 hours, and we did it twice a day on a Wednesday and twice a day on a Saturday, and it took up the whole of last year. And it's a play about grief, and it's a play about mental health, and it's a play where you have to bring so much of yourself and one's own feelings of loss and everything about yourself to it. So it was very draining, but it was also incredibly exhilarating, and not everybody gets to play that part, and I feel so grateful that I did, and it means the world to me that people responded to it, because it's a play that was written 400 years ago about mental health, and I think we're in a very embryonic and early stage about our understanding about mental health in people, and I mean, I always say that it's something that we all suffer from, mental health issues. Every single person in this room has felt mentally exhausted and mentally ill at places, and we talk very easily about our physical health. If something is wrong with us, we have no shame in saying, I need help, somebody please help me, and you go to experts. And I really believe it's time that we were able to lose the stigma of being able to say, I need help, and that help should be provided for 100% of the people.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Dara.
I just want to start off with saying that it means a lot to me that you like the portrait I did for you. I don't know if you had the time to read what was on the back, but basically, I'm going to say it again because it's never enough. Your Hamlet was outstanding, and I'm saying this because I don't have a long attention span, and I haven't moved an inch all those 3 hours. Thank God for BBC, because they filmed it and they put it out there.
Yeah.
Because she asked basically what I wanted to ask, I'm going to go back to the stag, if you remember that
Yes,
comment.
of course, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you have any gags from the set, because I can imagine it turned out pretty fun being with the guys on the set and doing everything you guys did.
Yeah. So the Stag, for those of you who don't know, is an Irish comedy about a stag weekend. Do you call it a stag weekend in Romania? Like a bachelor weekend?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Except they're guys that don't really want to go on a bachelor weekend, and they're all quite sort of erudite kind of guys. So we had to get naked on the very first day. We did, like, some of us knew each other because we've known each other a long time as Irish actors. That was horrendous. That was really awful. And it was in November in Ireland, and we didn't even know each other. Like, hello, clothes are off. And then we had to sleep in the film in the forest. So the crew just poured wet leaves on us. They didn't give us any food. They just left us there. But it's funny. It's a funny film.
One of my favorites.
It is a very good film. I honestly, it's. I really would love to do some more comedy, actually.
Comedies are always the best.
They are. Everybody loves a comedy, don't they? Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your drawing.
Hi, Andrew.
Hey there.
I have two questions for you. the first question, how get yourself up after some difficult or heavy moments?
Oh wow. I think the most important thing is to not judge the fact that you're going through a heavy moment. I think I spend a lot of our time thinking, I can't be in a heavy moment, I have to be happy, I have to be happy. The most beneficial thing for me that I ever heard was that our emotions are like weather. So if it's raining down on top of you, you can't be like, just be sunny, because that just makes it worse. You just have to let it rain, and if you let it rain and accept that it's raining, then eventually the sun will come out, and when it's sunny, enjoy the sunshine. That's what I would say.
What's the best advice you can give for the teenagers who want to change something?
Oh wow. I think that adults pretend that they know a lot of stuff, and I think my definition of really great adults are the great artists and the great scientists and the great discoverers of the world, and people who start with the question, I don't know, maybe there's more. I heard this beautiful thing the other day that when you're always talking, you can't really learn anything new. But if you listen, there's always the potential that you might learn something new. And so people who are always talking, for some reason I've become less trustful of. And when you're a teenager, I think you have to spend an awful lot of your time listening to people talking too much. And confidence, is silent. It's a silent thing, I believe. So it's just to hold on to that divine fire that's within you, and to know that actually to move away too far away from childhood and the playful, joyful, extraordinary freedom that you have in childhood isn't a good thing. It's to try and hold on to that as much as possible, and to keep that sense of wonder alive as long as you live, and that can be until you're 96 years old, to go, maybe I'll discover something more. And the most unhappy people, I think, where they just sit down and they turn on the TV and they have a mortgage at 33 and then they stagnate, and I think that's very sad. So yeah, it's all there when you're a teenager, so don't lose that.
Thank you very much and welcome to Romania.
Thank you very much. Hey there.
So I want to go back to a Shakespeare-related question.
Okay.
I think Christina reminded me that 3 years ago you and us were in the same theater at the Donmar. And I'm just curious, what was your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Tom Hiddleston's Coriolanus?
Oh, he was fantastic. Yeah, I thought he was wonderful in that role. Yeah, very, very moving and very suited to the role, I thought. Yeah, he's a great actor. Yeah. Yeah, did you? Yeah, good. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Hi there.
Hello, Tony.
I want to thank you for signing my shirt. It was very kind of you.
No problem at all.
I'm going to put it away safely.
Okay.
I'm not going to touch it again. Second of all, I want to say how much I loved your portrayal of Hamlet. It was very powerful. And again, I'm very thankful for BBC for putting me out there.
Thank you.
And second of all, and third of all, I want to ask you about Moriarty, because it's my favorite portrayal of Moriarty ever. I was wondering, how would you bring him back? How would you think he would come back in case he's not dead? We all know he's dead.
First of all, can I just say, it's so lovely, genuinely, to hear people talk about Hamlet. It really is, because I think there's a talk in the media that Shakespeare and Marvel films and Sherlock, or these big films that are at cons and stuff, are in some way not related. That the audience for that won't get Shakespeare or something. And I've always found that really disgusting. It's exactly the same. Shakespeare was a real populist. In fact, he was the Marvel of films of the time. He was like, I want to entertain these people. Except he was a great, great genius. And I hate the idea of high art